Um, so I was listening to or watching a lot of the stuff that's been reported with the Scientology volunteer ministers um, and their deceiving ways, taking advantage of the LA wildfires crisis. It's pretty disgusting. So Natalie, on her catch-up recap overnight or this morning for US people, did like pardon me, her whole show was dedicated, like her normal recap show that she does. So I better just check that I've got my settings and everything up correctly while I'm here. Hey, my Jack Bear. Look, I'm doing a walk and talk just for you and for me. Let me know if you can hear me okay. It's a little windy. So I was just, hi, welcome in everyone. So this is just a little walk and talk, and it's just about the issues with Scientology volunteer ministers taking advantage of the LA fires situation that has been reported. Yes, can hear you perfectly, awesome. So I was just saying, Natalie, on her recap show, did a really good summary of everything that was being reported. And her whole show was dedicated to this scam. And T did a show on it as well last night. Come walk with me. I've missed it too. But, you know, I've got to wait till I have something to talk about. And also, life is busy. So it was really good because there's a lot of people on TikTok and on Reddit that were reporting all the scamming. And because I don't look at Reddit anyway, I don't have TikTok, it was really good. And a lot of people are not people in this movement, they're just public people and YouTubers and a whole bunch of volunteers, like actual proper volunteers that were out and were like, oh yeah, I saw them too, and they just had their cameras out and it was all a bit weird, and then about how they, instead of being there to help and bringing donations, meaning like food and clothing and things, no, you're not disrupting, I like chatting. If you weren't here, it would be boring. So instead of bringing their own donations to help people in crisis, like other charities like the Red Cross and I don't know which ones are there in LA, do, they turned up and stole donations, and it sounds like they then took it to their own location, and had their own little, giving out donations, but it wasn't their stuff. And I forgot the second part of what I was thinking. And also using it just as photo ops for propaganda for their own members, because everyone else in the world can see it for what it is and is literally reporting it on Reddit and all over the internet, because we're not stupid. So I was watching an LA, sorry, Matt says, I was watching an LA YouTuber who usually e-bikes around LA. He was going around filming the devastation. Oh. Yeah, and I did hear like 2 days ago that even though it was dying down, people were, they were expecting the winds to pick up again for a couple of days, but so I don't know. I just saw Jess was alive and I asked her how it was and she said better, but I guess it depends what area you're in. Yeah. Oh, and late last night I found out there was an Australian man who died in the LA fires. Who was, I think he was in his 30s, but it's a horrific story because he was, I think he was born with cerebral palsy and he had all these conditions, like he couldn't see and things like that, and he overcame them in his life from when he was a child. And he was living in LA with his mum now. And sadly, he died in the fires. So I posted the news report from that on my community page, if you want to see. But the devastating part about it is, like, tragedy can happen, but the mum literally went to where he was living to try and find him and save him. And she tried to call 911, the phones didn't work. I mean, that's ridiculous. Even in emergencies here, I'm pretty sure that our 000 system still works. And then she said, oh, she grabbed a hose and to try and stop the fire from his place. I think it was on the roof or something, and there was no water. And then she left the property to go and find some help. And when she did, they were like, oh yeah, but we don't have any water either. That's insane. Hi, Kerrio. Thanks for joining in. I'm just having a walk and talk. I was chatting about oh, look at these people doing some salsa style dancing. I was talking about the whole situation with the volunteer ministers being scammers with the LA fires. Molly Burke did a piece on, Kerry says Molly Burke did a piece on disabled people being left behind without community support. Oh. Who's Molly Burke? Yeah, they're vulture ministers, that's right, I forgot about that. They're called vulture ministers, not volunteer ministers. Yeah, any of them not there, we're just standing around talking to each other. Yeah, exactly, and Natalie showed that as well. Like, when there was TV cameras, they were just like standing around before that, and then as soon as they noticed, they were like, oh, let's pick up this box and move this way so we get behind the, behind the camera. Yeah, videoed. Okay, I don't think they want me filming them. I just did that. You're all good. Stop filming me. Oh, hi Nanya. Welcome in, guys. I'm just having a walk and talk chat. These fires are a land cash grab. Tell me otherwise. A blind YouTuber. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, what about disabled people? Like, it just makes me mad. Yeah, so I was just saying on Natalie's recap overnight, she did good coverage of it because I don't read Reddit and I don't have TikTok and all that, and it was good to see that it wasn't just the anti-Scientology activists, but also everyone else, the public, the other volunteers that were out there seeing what was going on. Tap someone on the back and run away. AF, we will have to get you a fluffy body mic to stop the wind noise. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Jeffrey Augustine just spoke about the pattern of behaviour after 9/11 and how we can probably expect a bunch of efforts to have government organisations pay for the pure. Oh no, far out. Put a sock over it. I don't know. Isn't that worse? Is that worse, guys? Maybe I'll go stand behind a building shelter thing and see if it's worse. I mean, see if it's better that way. Anyway, I'll try it. So the thing is with this volunteer minister stuff, I've heard stories about how they're not even covered financially by Scientology. They just get these orders to go out to these when there's a crisis, but they don't provide them with any funds. So when, and we know that mostly all they do is hand out bottles of water and Way to Happiness pamphlets, which they have to pay for themselves. So, okay, thanks, Matt. So there was a great interview by the young guy who recently left Scientology, Leo. I can't remember his surname. He was interviewed on growing up in Scientology, probably in the later months of last year, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago. And he's just such a... So he got dragged into the Sea Org and ended up working for the IAS. He was a Mexican-American guy. I'm sure you guys will probably remember this story. I'll message you a link with a good fluffy body mic that dampens the wind effect. Oh, thanks, hon. That'd be awesome. If it's really, really bad, let me know. Anyway, I was saying, yeah, so, like, the story is heartbreaking, but it's probably super common. The only thing good about it was that he only lasted in Scientology and the Sea Org for a few years, and he's now out. Thank God, he's got the rest of his life in front of him. Thanks, Matt. So, he actually got recruited on the Hollywood Boulevard Testing Centre. And yeah, as far as I know, it was only a few years ago. So you can see how important the protesting that was started by William Good out there is and was, because they literally stop people and tell them the truth about what it is. Kerry says, how can you do legitimate charity when you have a doctrine of exchange? Good point. That's a freaking excellent point. That their policies and doesn't even believe in it. That's another good point, because in terms of having a charity status, that their one of their policies is you can't be out exchange. If you receive something, you have to give something back, and vice versa. So that's not what a charity is. Yeah. So this young guy Leo, he gets recruited at the testing centre in Hollywood Boulevard because he was a young guy and he was seeking something more in a spiritual sense. And I think so many people are doing that. Like they are seeking something more, especially intelligent people. Sorry to say it, but people who are seeking something higher in life, and especially, I mean, it can happen at any age, but especially when you're young and you're trying to find who you are as a person and what you believe in, what your values and morals are, and your own identity. A lot of the time it happens in that early 20s stage. And so he seems like such a sweet, softly spoken, beautiful person, and he was just seeking something more. And they completely took advantage of that. So that in itself would be traumatic. So anyway, he ended up joining the Sea Org, and he joined IIS, which is their donations. Okay, it's gotten really windy. Just pause for a second. Okay, so they're the part of Scientology that seek donations from Scientologists, especially the rich ones. So anyway, after he was there for a while, he started to have issues or not really enjoy it. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was starting to have doubts. And then he's like, well, his job was in fundraising. So he's like, well, yeah, I'm starting to have doubts, and there's things that I'm questioning, but this is all going to a greater cause. We're, providing all this stuff. So that was his thinking at the time. And then he found out later, when there was these programs to get things done or be sent out in crises, the Scientologists themselves were ordering the books and stuff and paying for them themselves. And he's like, oh hi T. And so he's like, oh, hold on a minute. I've been doing all this fundraising for the IIS because I thought it was going to a greater cause, and that's what was keeping me here, because I have been having doubts and questions. But and now I'm seeing people, individual Scientologists, paying for their own stuff to go out and do these programs. So it's just BS. So, that's just proof that Scientology is not providing funds. And on top of that, they're deceitfully asking for donations, which goes nowhere to where the donators think it should be going to, but rather to money flows upstream to eventually the leaders of Scientology. Oh, we know who the leader is. Let's see what the chat is saying. Kerry says, I feel like I would get more spiritual benefits from the alien church Jess Palmadessa visited. Oh yeah, that's right. If you have, no, I did see it. Alien church. I know, it's hilarious. Sadly, those are the types which cults usually prey on. I know. All meaning seeker types, pretty or otherwise. Well, sometimes they only go for the pretty ones because they use them for certain frontline jobs. What's she on about? I was going on about the volunteer minister stuff, and I said earlier that the scammers in the LA fires, and I said you did a live on it last night. But in Natalie's recap show overnight, she covered a lot of it, and it was good for me because I don't look at TikTok and all of that, so it was good. You guys are funny. Yeah, I'm talking about the vulture ministers. I was just giving the story about that Leo guy that